Hi everyone. Welcome to my second episode of my silly mini-series, Positive ID, in which I reflect back to you certain observations I've seen in face-to-face life over nearly 20 years of being obsessed with the MBTI and discussing it with tens and tens of people and talking with them about what their preferences are and what their official test results were and so on. Just everything we could related to what the cognitive functions and action look like, and as well as how they can seem from the person who possesses them and how they may be seen, expressed outwardly and observed in action by others. So I'm making fun of positive idea. I'm making fun of the idea of positivism as applied to this because it's totally not. There are so many ways that the assessment can not achieve what it sets out to achieve. And I'm going to talk about that a little more later today in another video. But I believe like all psychometrics, it's even the best of them are cheesecloth. They really are. There are so many ways that a real life complicated human can utterly fall through the cracks in the design flaws of these things, or just perhaps the essential limitations of these things. Anyway, what I'm trying to do is in this series is I'm trying to share with you what I think are some very funny behavioralisms and tendencies and attitudes that can be observed, where I've seen a very strong correlation between those things and people's preferences on the 4 scales of the Myers-Briggs temperament indicator, and sometimes even the whole type. And so it's utterly ridiculous. It's not to be relied upon at all. I'm just saying that these are things that I have often seen. Does it mean that everybody who exhibits any of these behaviors or attitudes must be this thing or have this preference? No, absolutely not. Does it mean that if you don't have this preference or exhibit this kind of behavior, that you don't have that preference that I'm, relating it to? No, doesn't at all. But it's just things that I've seen over and over and over again. And I think people who've done a lot of assessment and typing of people, whether it be in a totally legit, trained, certified way with the Myers-Briggs temperament indicator, or whether it's been more of a hobbyist thing, the way I have done it, I think it's going to make you guys, I think you guys will, it'll be interesting to see what you say in the comments. And if you have any comments, I hope that you will leave some, because I think that would be really interesting. I'll get to learn some stuff. So today's positive ID is this. If you are seeing somebody take the MBTI itself or some kind of other assessment that heavily borrows from it, and that person throughout the taking of it and answering the questions is grumbling a little bit, but is pretty good-natured on the whole, but they are making very snarky comments about the illogic or the flaws in the design, and where, pointing out where all kinds of missteps could be taken or things could be misinterpreted, or, just a kind of disparaging the instrument in some way or another. But they're still doing it. They're continuing on. They're game. They're like, all right, I'll do this. But, they've got their comments. They've got their critiques. In my experience, those people are almost always NTs. Surprise! Who would be, let me see, who would be the people who would be really hung up on logic, problems of logical coherency and objective data, and who would be very quick to give critiques about matters related. Perhaps. So furthermore, the ones that I found, and this is again maybe just reflective of who I'm hanging out with or who I've been party to their experience of doing the assessment. I think very often the people who are cheerfully doing it, even though they're making fun of it the whole time, but are still doing it anyway, very often those people have been INTJs. Now, here's the other positive idea. 2 parts to this one. When in every single case that I have been party to, where the person has taken the inventory and I have heard, oh, excuse me, that's not true. Oh, see, there we go. That's how positive the idea is. Okay, in most cases, where I've either seen before me or have had reported to me by the person who took the inventory that they think it's a total piece of crap and that it was a total insult and an utter waste of time, and that they will never ever look at it again. In almost every single instance, that was an INTP. So for me, in my mind, if I'm trying to help somebody, now the thing is, these people aren't going to want to be helped, because by this point, when they do the assessment, these people who are leading with the introverted thinking function, who are, here's what I say of INTJs and INTPs. INTJs are highly logical and ruthlessly pragmatic. INTPs are ruthlessly logical, and not necessarily that pragmatic. So those who get really hung up on all of the flaws, and I'm thinking in particular of one friend who I think I see just a lot of commonalities in the INTP profile, which I'm extremely familiar with, and how she is and how she thinks. This is a friend of mine for longer than I've known about the MBTI. That's a long time. Anyway, a semiotician, a very, she did her PhD in semiotics in additional language. All right. So we're talking, decided to pick up German in her 40s, just because. Well, not just because, but she did get a real, she had as much fun doing that as a lot of people would have going on a water slide. Okay. Just to give you an idea of the character of the thing. And when she was kind of, had to do this at work, she's a professor, when she was required to go away on one of those kind of retreats, those, where the huggy consultant sort of leads you through the MBTI related stuff and team building stuff and tries to show you how to understand everybody better and understand their choices better and all that, delicious, wonderful, good intention stuff. And quite useful with most people, except maybe the INTPs. But anyway, when she came to the question about, do you prefer paying attention to facts or theory? And that's where the MBTI lost her forever. She was so annoyed, deeply. Cold, it was chilly. It wasn't like, nah, she's not going to waste her time being pissy and emotional about it. She just was like, this is a piece of garbage. I, as a professor, I constantly pay attention to both all the time. And she knew what they were trying to get at, but she could not get over the illogic of that. And she felt like that was just so insulting to knowledge, to the idea of knowledge and logic. She found it so unacceptable that she just dug her heels in. And then she just answered, just basically just jotted down whatever for the rest of the inventory and gave all kinds of wrong answers. She answered opposite to what she really thinks or what she really feels, and came out an S, which is ridiculous if you know this person. So that's it. I would say, so now forever after, having seen this over and over again, when I hear of someone having taken the inventory and then becoming very hostile to it and utterly rejecting of it forever, I think to myself, that's an INTP. In all likelihood, I would never say that. I would never spread that around. But I would say, in my mind, I'm like, yeah, let's just, if they ever did come to me for any sort of assistance whatsoever, I would just do away with all of the middle stuff. And I would go straight to, let's just read the profile for INTP and see if you identify with it, because I am pretty freaking sure you will. And if you don't, we'll look at something else together.